Hey everyone, today we have a very special guest with us. It's Dhaval from CodeBasics. Dhaval speaks a lot about data science and also about, in general, about machine learning, data science. I think there's a little bit of artificial intelligence also somewhere over there. So Dhaval, would you like to say hi to our audience?
Hello everyone. Hi.
Dhaval, the agenda of today's talk is primarily how do we move to data science as software engineers. Most of my viewers are software engineers or are interested in software development. What many of us want to do is we want to get into this exciting new field of data science. But although people, like for example, personally me also, we do Coursera courses, we try various things, small projects on data science. We are never confident about making that move, making that switch, and how do we do it is a question that we have. So the first question is like, if I'm a software developer, how would I move to data science?
This is the most common question that I get on my channel too. And the good news is, if you look at data science as an industry, it's a new industry. And if you look at all the data scientists in the industry today, majority of them, I would say more than 50% of them, are software engineers. So they were software engineers, they learned data science, and now they are data scientists. So good news is that software engineering is a first step in the process of becoming a data scientist. And if you are a software engineer, you have already completed that first step. Then you need to think about various roles in data science industry. There is data analyst, data engineer, data scientist. Data scientist is the most common or most popular role in the data science industry. But you need to explore these other two roles as well, data analyst and data engineer. And if you don't know about these roles, you can Google it. On my channel, I have a video on which mentions the difference between these three roles. But the point is, being a software engineer, you have finished the first step, which is basically coding. And the second step that anyone can take is find a problem in your current job where you can apply data science. I have so many of my friends who will go to Coursera or any learning website. They will do machine learning course, but then what? They forget. If you don't apply your skills, there is no point. I mean, you'll just forget it. So the way you should start is by first figuring out a problem statement or a project where you can apply data science, and then learn those required skills and apply those skills in that project. So it's a project based learning. Now you would ask me, how can we create data science work in my regular .NET developer or web development job? Well, there are always ways. Whenever there is data, wherever there is data, there is data science. So if you're using .NET, whatever tool in your software building process, you also have a database. And the very basic thing you can do on that database is generate some BI analytics. So there are two most popular tools for BI, Power BI and Tableau. You can maybe learn those tools online and see if you can build some dashboards on your database. Now, many of us might be thinking that, okay, I go to this 9 to 6 job, I have to do my work, right? My regular web development work, let's say. When so when should I do this data science work? Well, when you're making transition, of course you have to work extra, right? You work on weekends, maybe you on weekdays you find some time, and you figure out this problem statement by being little creative. You build some dashboards. Maybe there is a data science department in your company, so network with those folks and show your dashboards. Ask them that, okay, this is my intention, I want to become data scientist, can you provide me your critical feedback, or do you have any work where I can help, right? So if you create the work and if you do on-job learning, that is often the best. Now, many times, Gaurav, there are organizations which are not open. Your boss finds out that you're doing something in dashboarding area, and they will be like, no, we don't need it. So I understand that happens. So, and if that happens, if your boss is not supportive enough, maybe change a team, or find a job which is more closer to your ultimate destination, which is becoming a data scientist. And the one single tip I give to everyone is join a company which is data heavy. You are working with Uber, Gaurav. I work for Bloomberg. All these companies are data heavy. So if you join a company, data heavy company, and even if you're working as a software engineer, you're dealing with so much data. And when you're dealing with so much data, there is always an opportunity to apply data science. So the idea is on-job learning, creating, working on real-life project, and then learn those skills. Because you learn the skills, you apply it. There is a mental stimuli. You get this reward that you produce something tangible. The other way many people make this transition is by doing a 2-year data science master, but that requires that, okay, you leave your job, take this break. Many people have this situation that they cannot afford it, but then there are people who can take this hit. So if you can do that, that is equally a good option.
Okay, so that's interesting. By the way, guys, if you're looking for any kind of detailed data science, information, Howell has an excellent channel. It's called CodeBasics. Like I said, it talks about data science in detail. So a lot of these things will be spoken about in more detail on Howell's channel. Do subscribe because he is a regular poster of content. I think Howell, you're also very active on LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out with personal queries and harass him, harass him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So LinkedIn, you can follow me. I post a lot of useful posts on LinkedIn, and we have a Discord server as well, where people ask questions on data science, AI, machine learning, and so on. And I want to add something, Gaurav, on the BI dashboarding that I mentioned. Many times people don't know about Power BI Tableau tool, and if you don't know the potential, you won't have good understanding on where you can apply those tools. So for that, my channel has this very good like sales insights project. It's like a real life project where we took the data set, we did some sales insights, some sales projections, and a lot of analysis in Power BI. So if you watch that project series, you will get a feel of the potential. What AI, what BI tools can do for you, and when you get that understanding, now you have a problem in your current job, where you can apply those potential or those skills that you learned by watching those videos. And I forgot to mention one important thing, which is a programming language. So Python and R are the two most popular programming languages in the field of data science. Now, Python is super easy to learn. I used to go to a library here for teaching Python as a volunteer, and I saw one 8-year-old kid who was doing Python coding. So Python is that easy. It's like child's play. So one other thing that people can do is, in your current job, try to use Python to automate your day-to-day job, day-to-day repetitive tasks. We, no matter what job we do, we always have repetitive tasks. Maybe there is some Excel file coming in, maybe you're doing some manual Excel crunching. Try to use pandas in Python, right? we I work with a very smart engineer, and his habit was, even like for every small thing which is repetitive, he will write Python script. So let's say to do that repetitive thing, it takes 1 minute, but to write Python script, it takes half an hour. He would rather spend half an hour in writing that script, because now that 1 minute thing you're doing every day, and if you do it for 100 days, it's like 100 minutes. Now he spent his 30 minutes, he automated the thing, he learned a lot of scripting skills. So you have to imbibe that habit in your personality. So Python for automating repetitive tasks can be a very solid step in this transition journey. And there are organizations where I have personally experienced where Python is nowhere in your technology stack. Correct? Let's say your entire team is using Java, C++. There's no existence of Python in your organization. You can be the seed of that change. You can onboard Python in your organization. I have experienced this myself where I wanted to onboard Python, but then there are a bunch of Java programmers in the team, and they always argue that Python is slow. Well, if Python is slow, why is it so much used in numeric computation, in deep learning? These are very computation heavy. It's a computation heavy industry, right? Like you need performance. Why do Python use? There is a reason. Like all these libraries, NumPy, Pandas that you use underneath, they are all written in C++ or Fortran. And then on top of that, Python just forms an abstraction layer so you can write your business logic. So if someone argues Python is slow, that person probably doesn't know what they are talking about. So you might have this fight in onboarding the Python, but you have to just, stay on your path, and eventually you will be able to convince people that no, Python is not slow. Python can be used for automating your day-to-day job. And not only that, it can be used to write your regular servers, right? Python is a full stack programming language. You can use Django as your web server. You can write so many things. It's not just data science. So yeah, Python. So I'll just summarize the steps here. So use Python to automate your day-to-day boring jobs, right? Second step is you create data science opportunities or data science work in your current job and try to work on those real life projects. If you don't have that opportunity, or if your culture of the company sucks basically, then try to join a company where people are more open-minded, and the company which is data heavy, so you are surrounded by a lot of data. And the third step is learning those skills. So learning those data science skills is easy actually. You go to YouTube, you find so many videos. You go to e-learning platforms, there are so many courses. And if you are, by the way, the issue with today's world is there are so many courses, so much information, it's easy to get lost, right? So you don't know, like, okay, what step I should take. There's so much to learn. For that, on my YouTube channel, I have created roadmaps. So a data scientist roadmap, a data analyst roadmaps. So that roadmap will tell you the skills you need to learn step by step. So if you follow those roadmaps, you will get an idea on what skills to learn. So you are learning the skills in parallel. You are working on real life projects, and you continue that way. And the very last path that we mentioned was the 2 years data science master, which maybe few of you can do.
Right, right. I think that's a very detailed and an excellent summary of all the things that we can do. Like you said, in the start, pick up bite-sized chunks. Even before that, actually, you mentioned that okay, let's go for Power BI or the Tableau.
Yeah.
These tools. I won't mention the company, but there was an entire team in one of the companies that I was working in, and they had this discussion that should we have our service running, or should we just dump the service, dump the code, and add Power BI? Because Power BI is such a powerful tool, there's a very good argument to just use it. If you are learning about maybe machine learning or data science as theoretical kind of thing, maybe you can do some of the things. But if you're thinking about practically moving to it, like you said, pick up bite-sized chunks, try to see what tools exist. Most of the times, the tools which exist will be able to do things. Like you don't have to write your own, SQL connector, and then you have to make a dashboard by yourself, and then the graphs. All that is taken care of by Power BI.
In Power BI, you can build a mobile app. Many people don't know that. You can export your Power BI dashboard as a mobile app, and if you install it on your phone, it looks like a very well built, properly built, like React Native mobile app, for example. but in fact, it is just a dashboard. And this is something you can do without coding. So a data analyst can look at the data, build a dashboard, and just export this dashboard as an app.
I think yeah, that's basically I that's a good idea. I'll apply it on the current interview ready company. But yeah, we need dashboards. We need dashboards. It's so critical to the business. Large companies, like you said, if you are working in a large company, you have data all over the place.
Mm.
Many of the times, if you're able to see what's going on, the patterns, that itself brings in so much clarity to what's going on. Uh, I think that's a brilliant insight, Dhaval. And like we said, CodeBasics has more content around this. Okay, moving on to the next question, Dhaval. One of the things that a lot of people ask is, if I don't have formal education on data science, you mentioned this, like you can get a master's degree also, but is it necessary to get a master's degree? And I won't say necessary. I would say, would you recommend people to get a master's degree before going into data science? Or would you say that no, you would rather spend those 2 years in a company doing projects, and then moving on to as a data engineer or an analyst or a scientist?
Well,
I know both
well,
questions.
both. Yeah. It's a difficult question. Both the option has like pros and cons. If you go for dedicated data science degree, the benefit is, you finish this degree, you start applying for a job, data scientist job. On your resume, it clearly reflects that this person has dedicatedly spent 2 years in studying all the concepts, statistics, R, machine learning, deep learning, so that way it can help you smoothly transition. I mean, I wouldn't say smoothly because you have spent 2 years and you have spent so much money. So it really depends on your situation. There are people who are in software industry for 5 6 years. They have a family, kids. Uh, their family. Yeah, their family depends on them financially, and you cannot afford to let that earning go, and on top of that spend extra money for your studies. So if you are in that situation, don't get disheartened, because the other way, which is becoming data scientist without a degree, is equally good, or I would say it's little even better than doing a data science master's degree. I did a video with one mechanical engineer. His name is Tanul Singh. So Tanul, during his mechanical engineering degree, when like the 4 year BTech, he learned machine learning from YouTube on his own, and then he started participating in data science competitions on Kaggle. So if people don't know, Kaggle is a platform where you can practice your data science skills. So this person would participate in competitions. They have leadership boards and things like that, and he got a good rank on Kaggle, and he got a job just based on that rank. He got a job as a data scientist directly after his mechanical engineering. So now imagine a person, mechanical engineering degree, directly you get a data scientist job. So all of this is possible in today's world.
Yeah, it's unheard of, but I mean, it wasn't unheard of by me rather, but
Hmm.
it's amazing. It's amazing to hear that. I
And
think when, yeah,
Gaurav, when I give this example to people say, "Oh, this is an outlier." Maybe yeah, it happened once for like 100 people, and you just keep on giving us this stupid example, and
you
I'm
actually
like,
do. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, sorry, my thing is like, oh wow, this must be super, super rare or something.
no, it's not rare. Now, so this is the thing. So a couple of days back, thinking about transition, right? We are discussing like, can you transition to field X without a degree in field X, correct? Couple of days back, I interviewed a person who was a lawyer for 12 years. At the age of 37, he learned coding. At the age of 39, he is a software engineer in Google. And when I interviewed him, like, just imagine, like, people send me this message that I'm 35, am I too old? And I just laugh at those questions. Like, you are old in your mind, correct? So this guy, 37 years, he was a corporate lawyer. Law is a different ballgame altogether. Now you learn coding, you learn what is array, list, what is programming language. At 37, 39, you become a software engineer. And then Gaurav, you know how you are curious? I asked him same question, but he, oh yeah, you must be a super genius. And like, no, I know 16 lawyers. So after he posted an article about his journey on some website, he got in contact with 16 lawyers who have made this transition and they have become software engineers. And he was saying is, I did not even try to contact this lawyer. These people just came in touch somehow. So what his argument was, there are so many lawyers who have made this transition. In US here, my friend's wife attended a boot camp where, people like waiters and chefs, like plumbers, they would come to learn programming. And she had a, I think, batch of like 20 people, and all these people were like totally different field, okay, like a plumber, like waiter. They all got a job as a software engineer. It's remarkable. We are entering into a world where degrees will continue. Degrees will not matter, I would say. Degrees will stop having any of its effect in next few years. Of course, let's say if you want to become a doctor, then of course degree matters, because you need to go to a lab, you need to maybe dissect a body. All of these things you cannot do at home. But programming, data science, these are the things. You need a laptop and internet connection, and done. You have internet, so many free resources. There are so many folks, Gaurav, who don't even spend any money on learn. They don't even spend $10 on Coursera course. They learn things just using free content, and they build amazing career. I would like to give this another example of one of my subscriber who lives in Pakistan. This person learns data science on his own. He was a computer engineer, by the way. So again, this relates to our original question, right? Like, if for data science, do you need a data science degree? So he's a computer engineer. His name is Kasim Patti. So Kasim learned Power BI from my channel, and then he started freelancing on Upwork. And Upwork, there was a project which required using Power BI, and that project was very similar to my sales insights project. So he will do that project, and then he got some $50 as a project prize. But then he got a lot of good reviews, 5-star reviews. So then he kept on building on that momentum, and I think he received recently become like I think top. He's in top 1% or 3% of Upwork freelancers today. So he's getting so much work that he's not able to cope up. Maybe he's going to build a team pretty soon. And sitting in Pakistan, I think earning more than 2 lakh rupees a month, just a fresh graduate out of college. So it's remarkable. Like, if you see people, you have to be positive and you have to look at the positive side. Yeah, you get some failures, but you have to learn from your failures. There are so many Discord servers, for example. You're writing a machine learning program, you're stuck. Okay, come to my Discord server. We have a machine learning, it's like a channel where you ask a question, and there will be other people who will help you. So enough help is there. All it requires is the willingness.
That's amazing. In fact, all the best to Kasim. All the best to. I have seen in Fiverr and Upwork a huge number of Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis. They're doing really well. They're actually, like, they work hard. They do what they promise, and it's amazing. It's actually, they are no longer dependent on finding work in a local area. It's a globalized place, which is absolutely wonderful.
Yep.
Okay, but this is great. It's really heartening to know that yes, you can go for either approach. Of course, one of the approaches is a little more expensive, but like you said, it might be a more structured approach. which is getting a degree. The other one, like you said, is probably something that we can all go for. Like the lawyer and the plumber and the waiter are not being denied an entry path in software engineering, which is again brilliant. So I think it's similar in data science. Like you said, we can start off with something simple. You took Kasim's example. Yeah, we can start off with something simple, and as we keep getting better at things, we can start. We become a professional, so to speak. Okay, so another question. This is again similar to the questions we have asked, but a little different. Uh, when we talk about big data, or when we talk about machine learning and let's say big data analytics, are there is there a need for engineers to be there, or are there tools already built which take care of all this? Or if someone wants to get into this field, which is not just data science, but like handling a huge amount of data, something close to data engineering or analytics, I would say. What what do you think they should do? Especially, let's say, if the company is not a data heavy company. If I have a 10-member team with just 50,000 users, I don't have that much data, but I'm interested in big data analytics and stuff like that. Would you ask me to switch my company, or should I try some open source project, or should I wait for some time?
Yeah, so if you are in a company which doesn't have big data and you want to learn big data and engineering skills, and then yeah, sure, like change. I think both options are good. Like change a company, or first continue with your company and try some open source project and try to do some work where you can help people solve big data problems, or maybe do freelancing if your current company allows it. Otherwise, yeah, change the company, but don't see, changing the company is not like, oh, I read about big data is cool and I want to change my company. Right? Think about your end long term career goals as well, the culture. There are so many things. I mean, I would not suggest changing company just at the whim of a thought that, okay, I want big data is cool, hence I want to change a company.
No, absolutely, which makes sense. Actually, a follow up for this question. I mean, because like, when should you change a company? It's sort of like, what is a data scientist or a data engineer's role? So, for example, if we have a software engineer, whether front end or back end, what often happens is the product team comes up with a particular feature or a request or a design.
Mm,
Then we see what needs to be done.
mm,
We then build a sort of a API design or a wireframe or whatever that is. Front end, back end is slightly different, but then we actually implement it, and the result is shown in a demo, and the project ends. Like, we deploy it to production and things work. This is the general life cycle of a project as a software engineer.
mm,
A day in the life of a software engineer.
mm.
What is the life cycle of a project for a data scientist? Like, what are the normal problems that they are solving, and how do they go about solving them?
It's a very good question. So data scientists work with software engineers. So software engineers take care of your application development, your software infrastructure, your databases, and so on. Then comes the data engineers. So data engineers maintain that data infrastructure. Data engineers are the one who write ETL processes, and they transform the data from your regular OLTP, which is like online transactional processing database, to OLAP database, which is your data warehouse. And then comes data scientist, who use that data warehouse to write SQL queries or whatever is the data fetch mechanism to either build dashboards or pull that data into their Jupyter notebook and build that data pipeline and write the machine learning model if needed. By the way, there's so many of data scientists who don't do machine learning, and it's perfectly okay. It's not like as a data scientist you have to do machine learning. In fact, if the problem doesn't require using machine learning, don't use it. Using otherwise it's just a stupidity. So I have another video. I have a video on explaining difference between data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist on my channel, where I took an example of a Reliance Geo store, for example, and I'll quickly summarize it. Let's say you have a wireless store, and as a owner of that store, you have, let's say, multiple franchises. Let's say you are Ambani. You have 10 stores. You're not that big Ambani, you're maybe a small Ambani.
I'm a rich guy, yeah.
Yeah. You have, let's say, 10 stores, okay, and you in that Reliance Geo store wireless, which is a wireless business. Wireless, you're selling phones, data plans. When you go to the store, there is a POS system in your organization. There is another software which takes insurance, which deals with the insurance related data, because when you buy a phone you want to buy insurance and so on. Now, and to measure customer satisfaction survey, let's say you are running some surveys. You might be handing over some fixed surveys on Not and Pen, and people are just filling the survey, on using Not and Pen. Now, and then you have a couple of folks who will scan those surveys and store those PDF documents on Amazon Cloud. Now, as a business owner, you have so much data, right? You have one database in MySQL, one database in Oracle. You have all these PDFs stored in your cloud storage. Now you have so many questions based on this data. Which store is performing the best in terms of customer satisfaction? Which store is going to attract the most traffic, because Diwali is coming or Christmas is coming? And if you have that predictive analytics with you, you can deploy more staff in that particular store. So using all of this data, how do you get all these questions? You have these questions which are based on data, and if you get the answers, which is basically your data insights, it can help you build a better business strategy. So data scientists and data engineers helps you with this process. See, the role of software engineer was to build that software. Let's say there is a POS system. It is built by software engineer. There is another software for insurance that is built by software engineers. But their role finishes. Now, data engineers will come into picture, and what they will do is they will take this MySQL database, which is a POS system. They will take this Oracle database, which is behind your insurance software. They will take all this PDF and they will write ETL process. ETL is basically extract, transform, load, and they will pull the data. They will do transformation. Why transformation is required? Because let's say you have a store not only in India but in US also, but US store is that Oracle table is storing information in US dollars, and the other record is in Indian rupees. So now you have to transform, you have to do apple to apple comparison. So normalize the currency and maybe convert US dollars to Indian rupees. So all of these transformations happens in ETL process, and you then transform the data, maybe normalize it and store it in data warehouse. Now data warehouse is another database, but it's designed for data analytics. You can run data analytics in a very efficient manner on data warehouse. And another reason you need data warehouse is if you start writing heavy queries on your MySQL or Oracle, right? Your transactions are being impacted. What if your database is slowed down? You have customers coming in your store and their experience is impacted. That's why for analytics you are keeping kind of almost like a secondary copy in your data warehouse. And so that process, OLTP to OLAP, all the ETL transformations, maintaining data infrastructure, you could have Hadoop, big data infrastructure, all of that is done by data engineers. Once you have data in your data warehouse, now data scientists come in play. So data scientists will talk with Mr. Ambani, says, hey, Mr. Ambani, what do you want? And he's like, okay, can you get me the answer of these three questions? So data scientist's job is first of all to understand business. So they need to have that business sense. They need to be good in communication, storytelling, presentation. Once they have this conversation with the business owner, they understand what kind of insight my stakeholder is looking for. Then data scientist would look into data warehouse. They will maybe write SQL query. There are other ways to pull the data, and they would do one of these two things. Number one thing, if the question is which store performed the best in last one year or quarter, it's a descriptive statistics. You already have data and you're trying to get an answer. So they will simply write an SQL query, or they will build a nice dashboard in Power BI. It's very similar to my Sales Insight dashboard where you can click, okay, 3 months, 6 months. It builds like a nice UI. And they build this dashboard. They present it to the stakeholder. In our case, let's say Mr. Ambani. And Mr. Ambani now, when he comes to his office in the morning, first thing he will do is open the dashboard, look at all the insights. So it becomes very easy for him that, okay, this is my trending revenue. This, how are the store performing relatively, which employees performing the best. They get so much insights. I'm just giving very simple example.
Yeah, totally, totally. We also had the same thing in Uber. The CEO, all sorts of like people who are really involved with the business. Every morning they wake up. I'm not sure whether the first thing they do is open up the cell phone, but pretty early in the morning, the first thing they do is they kind of understand the health of the business. So
Yes.
the health of the business is reflected by taking these really complex numbers and crunching them down to something which makes sense to them, like total number of sales that we had yesterday, total number of, was there any kind of a spike, was there any kind of a report, an issue. So and of course at their level, they try to, most of the reports are filtered out till the point that if there's a region wise collapse or something, then they get a bit of a report for that. So absolutely agree. This is it's interesting that you also mentioned that the infrastructure is built by data engineers for finding these patterns and stuff which the data scientists then come and find.
Yeah. So let me clarify one thing. So this whole field is evolving. So the part I mentioned was just a descriptive analytics, but there is predictive analytics. So okay, which store is performing best? It's like past data. You don't need machine learning. But when it comes to predictive analytics, that okay, Diwali is coming, Christmas is coming, which store is going to have a maximum customer traffic? For that, you need machine learning, correct? So now data scientists would again use data warehouse, whatever is their data source, pull that data into their Jupyter notebook. They build data pipeline, they do data cleaning, then all the pre-processing steps, feature engineering, they build a model, and the model will tell you now that this particular store is going to perform the best. And once they have the insight, they create a PowerPoint presentation, or they send the insight in email to stakeholders, and they take the appropriate decision. Now, when it comes to machine learning, there is this new role evolving called AI architect or AI infrastructure person. So that person will be maintaining the whole AI infrastructure. You know how we have CI/CD, which is continuous integration, continuous deployment. We have something called CT, continuous training. That is,
Yeah, no, I think it is continuous development. I'm sorry, I said
sorry.
deployment.
Yeah, okay. So continuous integration and continuous development.
Sorry, deployment. Yeah, I myself as an engineer, software engineer, I don't know the full form. So
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So the point I want to mention is there's something called CT, which is continuous training. So that CT term is coming up in the field of AI, where you have a model which is trained on some data, but your data is changing all the time. So you have to continuously train your model. So these AI architects are maintaining this infrastructure for machine learning ecosystem. So there are so many. See, this field is still going through a big revolution. So many new roles are emerging. But overall summary, yes, data engineers are the one who maintain, who prepares the raw ingredients. It's almost like you're going to pizza store, and there is a person who's chopping the vegetables, who's preparing the dough. So that's your data engineer. And your data scientist is the one who actually prepares the pizza, if I have to use any analogy.
Sometimes if you can automate the whole process, then I would say, like for example, real-time analytics, like you mentioned, there are people who make the infrastructure. Machine learning, like you mentioned, that can help you kind of do it automatically, like the microwave, it turns off after 40 minutes, just like that. You can automate. There's batch processing, like you were saying, the AI architect actually decides on all this, that how how do we do these analytics and how often should we do it and which are the important parameters that we need to consider. But that's brilliant. I think, by the way, guys, if you haven't checked it out, CodeBasics has a bunch of courses on data science and on software engineering also. Uh, CodeBasics, I think the channel, the website name is CodeBasics, is it? No, Skill Basics.
Skill Basics. Yeah, so what I did is I launched this website called Skill Basics, and I'll probably buy Code Basics domain name as well in the future. But that
Sounds good, so there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
so that I just put the link of all my playlist on that website. So that website is kind of looks more like Udemy or Coursera, but the difference is it's all free, at least as of 2021 October. It's all free, all YouTube videos. In my machine learning playlist, actually, I have in fact added a lot of exercises and quizzes. So it's like a proper course. You can learn everything for free, interactive learning, and yeah. So it's just
It's 117 videos on the data science course itself. Then you also
yes.
have machine learning, 85 lectures on that. This is awesome. Also, like specifically, if you're looking for the ETL architecture, I'm not like Dhaval, of course, speaks a lot about data science. If you're looking at the engineering side of it, the software engineering, I have a design on Interview Ready which speaks about the same thing. But we'll have to see. Like, but that's a paid course, so yeah.
No, but Gaurav, I have looked at your video. You produce a very good quality content, and it's a paid course. But by paying 4,000 rupees, if you're getting, let's say, 20 lakhs job, I mean, it's nothing. It's peanuts.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Yeah. But thanks so much, Dhaval from CodeBasics, as they say. The conversation we have had, I think, is super useful, especially because so many people have, including myself, we have had this after 2 years of job experience. There's multiple paths we have, and data science looks like the best path to go for, primarily because it's geared towards mathematics, geared towards things that we love. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just adding to that data science is futuristic. It is the future. It's the number of jobs, the scope, the industry is booming. So if you learn the skills today, maybe after 5 years, you'll have a lot of potential in terms of your career growth.
And it sounds so researchy. Like it's uh, there's math involved, there's machine learning. Of course, a lot of this is hype, but it's also true. Like there is scope for finding patterns, recommendation systems, lots of wonderful stuff coming out in the software engineering field also. But in data science, of course, like most
Can
of
I can I show you one cool thing, right? Like I just showed you that I have this NVIDIA broadcast. So look at my noise cancellation. So I'm speaking and I'm clapping. Do you hear the clapping or no? Or you just hear me speaking?
I can't hear your clapping. No.
Right, this is possible because of AI. So I have here NVIDIA Titan RTX GPU, and my this headphone is plugged into that GPU, and I'm using NVIDIA broadcast software, which is using AI for this effective noise cancellation. You can have person beating a drum or a baby crying. It's kind of funny that there is a baby crying video with so many millions of views on YouTube. And if I have, I mean, I can kind of quickly show you. It's kind of cool actually. So all right, so
It's totally the case. In fact, recently I screwed up one of my videos. I took the recording at 15 frames per second,
okay,
and 15 frames per second is something like this, like there's
okay, yeah,
lag, right? So, which was horrible. I used this AI program, open source. It made it 2x the frame rate to 30 frames per second, and I couldn't tell whether this is real or not. Like again, it became smooth, the movement. So that was the content delivery network video. I thought I had to just dump that video, because it's so jittery if you have it at 15
yeah.
frames. But
I had Gaurav, I have similar problems where there are a couple of like lawn mowers, lawn mower company. They try to cut the grass while I'm recording my YouTube video, and it's like because they make such a horrible sound. Especially if you're a YouTuber living in, let's say, Hyderabad, Mumbai, some Indian city, there is like honking and there's so much noise.
exactly, yeah.
Right, and this software, this using AI, you can remove the noise. See, I have this 1 hour baby crying video which has 11 million views, by the way. I don't know who is watching this video. It's a 1 hour long video, 11 million views. And if you listen to this video, see, the video is going on. I have this in full. Did you hear it, by the way?
No, I can't hear about
So
it.
right, so now let me change my headphone to my, so I unplug my NVIDIA broadcast, and so this is the real reality. This is the reality. So that was the reality, and AI, my cool AI, just made my life so much easier, especially work from home situation when you have kids crying, so many noise going on. You are attending a super important meeting, and with NVIDIA broadcast, now your life is like so cool.
I think yeah, it's a great indicator of where we are heading. It's probably going to be through the next generation of data scientists and software engineers and like the whole technical field that's going to help. Cadre is that the word? But yeah,
Yep.
it's awesome. Thanks so much, actually, Dhawal, for bringing light to this side of engineering, which is so close to data, and it's a huge field, so to speak. There's analysts, there's engineers, there's scientists who are working around data to make lives better for people. They are solving very interesting problems. They may be soon joined by a lot of the software engineers that we have currently. And it's great that you're able to actually light that path. Like you said, you also have a roadmap video on your channel. Thanks so much for coming here, Dhaval. Thanks for actually making the channel CodeBasics and doing everything that you do. It's wonderful to see. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Gaurav. Thanks for inviting.
All right, and see you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.